Yeah, I think there's been some really interesting movements around trials. So I'm a transport planner. I shouldn't knock my own profession, but I think transport planning is actually very simple. It's basically common sense. Most of the things that we need to do to improve our cities, they're not particularly new, they're not particularly revolutionary, or they shouldn't be. The difficulty is actually making them happen. Any conversation around the future of transport tends to leap straight to technologies, and people will talk about autonomous vehicles, or they'll talk about, Hyperloop, or all of these new things like technology is going to save us. The actual things that we need to do to make our cities healthier, more vibrant, more pleasant places to be are incredibly basic. Getting people back to walking, the most basic mode of transport. And it's how you do that. And building on the conversation just then about Manchester and short car trips, sadly London, and I'm a great fan of Transport for London, London is not much better.
No, it isn't.
One in 7 car journeys in London is shorter than 1 kilometre, and a third of all car trips in London are shorter than 2 kilometres. And I think the real problem is that the fixed cost of motoring is so high that once you've got a car, you're going to use it as much as possible to justify the expense. So I think it's really important to look around the political side of transport planning and the behavioural change side of it. And that's where trials can come in, because they take out the risk. Generally, people are inherently conservative, and if you ask people about change, they fear change. If you have consultation and go through the democratic process, people's reaction is always to fear what might the consequences be, where might the traffic go, streets will be clogged up. And so there is a presumption that goes against any form of change. If you have trials, which can be temporary measures, or they can be pretty long term, the removal of traffic during the day, private traffic during the day at Bank Junction is an 18-month trial. I think even the idea of that 5 years ago wouldn't have been tolerated. But for the politicians, it means action can be taken more quickly. It takes out the risk, because if you try something and it works, you keep it, win votes. If it doesn't work, you can put it back to how it was, and you're seen to be, being responsive. So it's an absolute win-win situation. And those trials can be really small in terms of, a parklet, taking out 1 parking space to put in a parklet. We've got a trial just down the road from offices in Arup on Windmill Street, where we've taken out 3 parking bays. Took quite a lot of work with the local borough. But we had this parklet in for 3 months. We're trialling it. We're seeing what the impact is on the streets around, monitoring it in terms of air quality. I said looking at it in terms of economic benefits. And that's a really great way to do something very quickly, low cost, low risk, and see what can happen.